Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Give me Tennessee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 1796 Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Norm Fan, alongside with my big buddy, Ryan. So, let's get straight into it. Tennessee going to Omaha again, 3 out of the past 4 years, and our boy Tony Vitello just keeps doing his thing. But let's talk about this past weekend against Evansville. Quick shout out to Evansville. Really well-rounded team. Obviously, everyone expected Tennessee to win the series, but they snuck one away. But yeah, overall, Tennessee played really well, except for Saturday, the game that we were at. But overall, though, Ryan, what'd you think? Let's hop into Friday. Friday was a pretty good game for the Vols. What'd you think?
Yeah, Friday, your typical Friday night formula, Stamos and Causey. Stamos, it fired me up the way he was pitching in the first inning. I think it was he retired the side in order on strikeouts. Most electric he's looked all year, but then second inning comes around, gives up a 2-run home run, and then Causey comes in, does his thing. Which we're all accustomed to by now. I've said it for the past few weeks. Causey's been the best pitcher possibly in the country since the start of May. And the offense turned it on thanks to home runs as normal. And we got through that Friday night game. And before we move on, I said it last episode too, stop and smell the roses again, please. 3 out of 4 years to Omaha. We're the only team in the country that's done that last 4 years. It's just a matter of time before it pays off. If we keep knocking on that door, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. Could be this year. You never know. I think it might be this year. But anyway, Jim, what did you think about Friday night?
Overall, we got who we expected. We did get a little bit of a scare of Christian Moore coming out early, finding out he was hurt a little bit, but obviously as the weekend progressed, it wasn't an issue. But he had 3 at-bats, 1 walk, 2 RBIs, a hit, and 2 runs. Christian Moore has continued to show why he's the best player in the country, in my opinion. The kid is just absolutely sound. Another guy I want to shout out for this game, especially, and the weekend in total, is Blake Burke. Blake Burke went berserk this weekend, hitting all over the field. Ryan, you could even say it too. At the game Saturday, I kept saying, I was like, Blake Burke's going to have a day, just based off his batting practice. He was just smoking the ball, and throughout the weekend, just awesome performance. But Hunter Ensley stayed hot. But overall, this team, and like you said, Causey coming in after, they had a little bit of trouble with Stamos after that, obviously that magnificent first inning. I was like, oh man, Stamos might throw a gem here. But Causey comes in, shuts things down. 4 and 2/3 of a outing, and only gave up 4 hits, 3 runs. And like I said, you can't knock any pitching because Evansville can flat out rake. They did really well against our pitching this weekend. So, but yeah, Friday obviously was, what we thought it was going to be. We thought the second game was going to pretty much go the same way, but it didn't. So what did you think about the second game? We were there, so we got to experience, that live.
Yeah, firsthand experience for the both of us. It started off good. You're always a little bit concerned when you're only hitting solo home runs. We got up 4-0. Beam was doing his thing through 3 innings, and then he just hit a wall in the 4th, got taken out. Kirby couldn't get an out against the lefty to end the inning. Then Snead comes in, didn't have his normal stuff. And honestly, the game just got away from Tennessee. I think when your reliable bullpen arms are just off, all 3 of them, it's not too surprising what happened. You just said it. Evansville is a super experienced team. I mean, it's incredible what their coach has done, keeping all those players there in the era of college sports we are in now with the transfer portal. So kudos to him. They can hit, and they did it on Saturday. But the thing that I told you on the ride back after leaving that game was, Tennessee trying to rally in the ninth inning and figuring out that Evansville pitchers were not even interested in throwing anywhere near the strike zone. They watched the pitches and almost won on Saturday. So I think that's what the momentum that carried them into Sunday, which ultimately won them the series, which we'll get to here in a second. But what were your thoughts on Saturday's game, Jim?
Well, we come out hot. This is how I take the whole game experience, especially being there. I mean, Tennessee does what they did Sunday or yesterday. They come out, they were smoking the ball right off the rip. And I feel like it kind of gave me a vibe of the football game in Alabama last year, where we just come out hot and the boys just said, all right, this is it. We got this. And Evansville was not going down without a fight. And, that's what I'm kind of putting, Saturday and Sunday together, where Sunday we come out hot and they don't take the foot off their throats. It is just, night and day difference between the two Tennessee teams. And if Tennessee plays with the attitude they played yesterday, it's going to be hard to beat Tennessee because they were all playing like it was their last game. And Saturday they didn't have that. And that's the vibe I got, though, is that they got up early and, it's tough. Obviously, it was a really early game. So that was kind of like a little metaphor, I guess you could say. But they got up early on Evansville 4-0, and I feel like they just got too comfortable. And because look at the end of the game, we left early, and they came back and almost took the lead and won the game with our best hitter at the plate. So that's my take. I don't know what you think about that, but that's how I felt about it, was that they got comfy and Evansville said, nope, not today, and took advantage.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what happened. I think Tennessee just thought Evansville would go away quietly, and they clearly didn't. I mean, they scored 10 runs in 3 innings, the middle innings. And another thing that helped Evansville was their pitcher who came in and pitched those middle innings held us to only 1 run while they were doing that. So, I mean, and we couldn't. We like I said, we were just not focused at the plate. I mean, when you're not landing anything in the strike zone and you're still getting outs, as the Purple Aces were on Saturday, because Tennessee was chasing the ball game, trying to get everything back at once. I mean, you get what you got. And like you said, it was a wake-up call. I'm glad Tennessee, rallied in that 9th inning, because I think without that rally, without us figuring them out, the game we're about to talk about, Sunday's game, could have gone a lot differently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what really helped, and we'll talk about Tony's rant after the game, but, you had a lot of guys that were there for 2022, and, they knew how it felt. They were the ones crying after the game, and this team, this fan base, they all thought, that was the year. That team was stacked too. But overall, I think this team this year is a lot more well-rounded and, could take advantage of Omaha if they could play, like I said, how we're about to talk about last night's game. But yeah, overall, I mean, Tennessee's looking good right now. They got a lot of confidence going forward, and they just got to play with that chip on their shoulder. Like Tony says in his rant, they're playing with house money. A number 1 team hasn't won since, the 90s? And
1999.
Exactly. So it's been a long time. So no one thinks Tennessee's going to win this thing. So at this point, play, loose, and you're playing with house money, as Tony would say.
Absolutely. Now, we've been alluding to it last few minutes here, but Sunday's game, for the lack of a better term, it was just a home run derby for Tennessee, and speak to it, Jim, because I have no words for what I witnessed. I mean, it's almost expected from Tennessee when they're locked in, but it was just incredible.
Well, you talk about home run derby, but I want to talk about one guy, Christian fucking Moore. All right, sorry for cussing. All right, but
okay.
Like that dude straight up looked like a Major League Baseball player. That was already that it felt like he has been in the majors forever, and then he just came back to college and was playing yesterday. Like every at bat, he was locked in the field, locked in. He was jumping out whenever he got that last out, and in one of the innings, he was just jumping off the field. And to go down 1-0, Dean Curley has an error, helps get that run in the first inning for Evansville. Christian Moore comes up, leadoff home run. That set the tone. That set the tone of what Tennessee was going to do that day. Blake Burke comes up, hits a double. It was just crazy. And like I said, if Tennessee plays like they did yesterday, there is a lot of teams that can't beat us.
I mean, you couldn't say it better. I saw something on Twitter today where only one of the home runs Tennessee hit yesterday would not have been a home run in Omaha. Now, I know we'll be facing a lot better pitching, but the bottom line is Tennessee can mash the ball when they're focused, and certainly they were focused yesterday when they're one game away from Omaha against an overmatched team. They knew it had to be done, and they went out and did it. And I'm going to – my player of the game, I know I just talked about home runs for my first few thoughts there, but we could have, went up and looked at the ball and took 20 strikeouts looking, and we still would have won because of Xander Sechrist.
Yeah, Xander pitched lights out. I mean, six innings, only gave up 6 hits, one run, not even an earned run. Like I said earlier, that was off the error. 6 strikeouts, unbelievable, just unbelievable. He has become a different animal in the late end of the season. And he even said it in one of a post-game interview, talking about, because the guy interviewing him asked him, if I told you were going to do this, what would you say? Is he didn't think he'd be a Sunday starter for this baseball team. And I'm not going to lie, that after that performance, he looks like a Friday guy.
Yeah. I mean, the progression he's made from midweek starter 2 years ago, midweek starter last year, and now to Sunday starter this year. I mean, and for a lot of the season, there was a stretch until the last week of SEC play against South Carolina where he only pitched 16 innings. I think it was maybe less than that in 4 starts, gave up just as many runs as innings pitched. He was not going well. Tennessee was still able to win those games, most of them, except the Vanderbilt game. But when we got to the last series, when the SEC championship was on the line, and he pitched 6 scoreless against South Carolina, and then you go to the SEC tournament, he pitches lights out against, I think it was Vanderbilt or Mississippi State. I don't remember. I think it was Vanderbilt. And then you go to the last week's regional, pitches very well again after getting beamed by a ball coming right up the middle, which happened again last night, stays in the game both times, continues to pitch his ass off. And the big thing to me is that he could have gone 8 innings if it weren't for errors, because that first inning probably added 15 to 20 pitches to his pitch count.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 4th inning, when Evansville got the bases loaded, pretty much the only time that they had a bunch of runners on base, there was another error. Christian Moore dropping the ball at second base, which could have been a double play. That added a lot more pitches, but he rebounded from whatever hardship he encountered last night and pitched an absolute gem to get the Vols to Omaha.
And listen, and that's what I'm talking about on how they played yesterday. And Tony's rant, he kind of talked about it. Is the guy Dean Curley makes an error. Now, yeah, I got mad at him too because it just set the tone. I was like, oh God, it's gonna be this type of game. But Xander said, "No, I got you, bro. We're getting out of this. We got this. We're fine." And the team just looked different yesterday. I don't know how to explain it. Like the team, like I said, they looked unbeatable yesterday. Between Xander, Nate Snead had a great appearance. Shout out to Nate Snead. Thank you for following. Dylan Loy, Kirby Connell, Marcus Phillips, they all did their job. Cal Stark hitting the ball. Dalton Bargo, shout out to Dalton Bargo. He said he came in pissed because Tony brought it up in the rant we're going to talk about after this. He should have pinch hit him on Saturday. You know what Dalton said? Okay, I got you, bro. DH is on Sunday, 2 home runs. I mean, he stepped up. You know what? Yeah, he's been inconsistent all year, but that's a huge sign. He wanted to go back home. He's from Omaha, and it's just great to see that this team, like I said, just looked different yesterday. It's like I haven't seen this team look like that all year, and my God, I'd be worried for like any team that Tennessee runs into this coming weekend. Better hope they're not playing like that. Better hope, because I just said it. I'll say it a million times. They looked unbeatable.
Yeah. I mean, I know the cynical people listening to this will say, well, yeah, it was against Evansville, but you could just tell by the way they were playing that they were locked in and focused. I think Tennessee could have beat the 27 Yankees yesterday. No offense, Jim. They looked like locked in and focused, like I've been saying. I mean, and the last thing I'll say about Xander, I think his energy on the mound pumped the team up tremendously. Like, I don't think we scored 12 runs without Xander's presence in that game. But, I mean, the bottom line is Tennessee did what they had to do to get to Omaha against an overmatched team, showed who was better, showed that Saturday was a fluke. I mean, a lesser experienced team, a team with less mental fortitude would have lost yesterday. And I think the negative ass fans that, seem to creep up in the Tennessee fan base thought we were going to lose yesterday. I saw people saying, we're responding to a tweet that said Kevin Reed's ERA, the pitcher who started for Evansville yesterday, was like 15 in his last 2 starts. And then somebody said, he'll pitch like Randy Johnson tomorrow. Like,
there's multiple of those.
It's just, I don't get that attitude. But
get rid of the BVS, bro. Get rid of the BVS, dude. It's so annoying. And and if any of my buddies in the group chat I'm in are listening to this podcast right now, you know who you are. I was telling it, and you seen them. We ain't losing. It was not going to happen. This team, and they showed it. Like I said, they looked different, and this team showed everyone what they are fully capable. And yeah, like you said, people are going to say, "Oh, it's against Evansville." Bro, Evansville is not a bad baseball team. Baseball is not like football. Like, yeah, is Tennessee more talented on paper? Absolutely. But Schallenberger is a good hitter. Kip, I'm not going to say her last name, great hitter. Cal McGinnis tore us up all weekend. Great hitter. I mean, here's my thing. If Evansville had better pitching, we would have been in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're like Friday night, getting through their ace the way we did was huge. And, their lack of a bullpen finally showed up in the third game too, when you had people pitching 3 days in a row, 30, 40 pitches per game. I mean, it finally showed up. But like you said, I mean, In football, it's a war of attrition. The more talented team almost always wins. But baseball's a funny sport, man. I mean, you go. I think it was mid 2000s when Fresno State won the whole thing, the national championship as a 4 seed. That can happen, and luckily for Tennessee, they did not run into a Cinderella that was capable of beating them.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and I'll tear people's ear off with, oh, if Tennessee plays like they did yesterday type ordeal, because it's a dang fact. Because, boy, they were scary yesterday. Billy Amick smoking a 440-foot home run. Christian Moore over the batter's eye. Cal Stark is just raking in this postseason. It's just, good to see this team. They needed a game like that because they're running into a tough opponent. Florida State's no joke. And the guy we're going to see Friday night, he's a stud. This is a true ace that we're going to see in Jamie Arnold. Okay? So, and they have a great lineup in general, and we'll talk about them later on, but yeah, this is a good momentum boost. It doesn't matter who it's against. Like Tony said, it's just you got to go play. Baseball's a weird sport. Look at the Kentucky game last night. You don't hustle one play, you that play literally lost them that game. That one play. So, but yeah, when it comes to this weekend, I mean, they played good. They had that one mishap, but they turned it around, like you said, at the end, and they continued that momentum on Sunday.
Yeah. I'm going to give my MVP of the weekend, batting wise. Then I'll kick it to you, Jim. But you've already mentioned his name. But Blake Burke, home run game 1, home run game 2. I think he had 6 or 7 doubles on the weekend as well. Like, if we get that Blake Burke spraying it around the ballpark in Omaha, a ballpark that is a lot different than Lindsey Nelson, I mean, it's going to bode well for Tennessee's offense.
Yeah. I mean, Blake Burke was playing pissed off, and I don't blame him. And I think it's going to continue because the way, and we're you know what, we'll kind of bounce off this into Tony's rant, but people were always saying that, no one thought Tennessee was going to win the Natty this year because they're number one. To be honest, man, I feel like the teams that are playing us, like Florida State, they have more pressure than we do. Tony has brought it up. We're playing with house money going on. No, number one hasn't won in God knows how long. This is it. So the kids are playing. Christian Moore is playing for Tennessee for the last time in Omaha. Blake Burke, Billy Amick, possibly Tears and Dreiling. I mean, Cal Stark. All these guys, this is it. So they're going to be playing with everything. And that's the bottom line. So I'm going to kind of bounce into and let you talk about the rant Tony had. I don't even call it a rant. I think it's just a flat out speech.
I mean, he touched everything from the definition of success to his favorite vacation destinations to Noah Webster's dictionary
to patriotism.
Yeah. Yep. The main point of that whole thing to me is that, like, when he sees all the work that his players put in over the last 7 years now at Tennessee, and then he has people telling them that the season won't be a success unless they win one game, I mean, he's going to bristle up. Like, he's going to get mad at that. Like, if Tennessee were to lose yesterday, yes, it would have been a disaster. It would have been an embarrassment. It would have been disappointing. Absolutely. But, like, I say this all the time to people. Like, to win a national championship in anything, you have to be one of, in some sports, 300-plus teams. You have to be the last team standing. Like, it's a hard damn thing to do. And if you judge every season based on did you win a national championship or not, you're going to be disappointed like 99% of the time. I think that was his main point. And then he went on to say the definition of success, he lets his players define it. I mean, and by the way, half of this speech, if you haven't heard it, first of all, go listen to it because it's a good way to start your morning, good way to end your day. Like, it's incredible. But he's yelling during all of it. And it just, and then the one thing that stood out the most to me was he said that his definition of success is going to work every day and getting out of his car and being excited to be there. And that tells me he wants to stay at Tennessee for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's building his own stadium. They're tearing down the press box as we speak. I mean, the dude is carving his outlook on the program he wants to have. And this is only phase 2 of the renovation. This is only phase 2. I mean, I don't even know how many phases there are, but Tony ain't going nowhere. I'm more worried about Elander, which I mean we talked about it already, that we expect him to be a head coach somewhere. Probably not this year, obviously because of what we talked about earlier. But yeah, Tony, man. And I posted it on Twitter. How could you not want to play for a guy with that passion, and he's got his players back, and he even said it about recruiting. Don't come here if you're looking for a handout of money. If you want to play here, come play here. But he's not handing out money to get, like Billy Amick. Everyone was like, "Oh, you handed it. He's there for the money. He's there for the." No, Billy Amick came here for the culture, and look how happy he is now. He's in Omaha. His old team ain't.
Dude, it's like I heard the biggest thing. I think it was one of the announcers either last weekend or this weekend said that Billy Amick's dad pushed him towards Tennessee because he loved the culture. And Billy respects his father, and that's why he's here. And he obviously made the right decision because his former team is sitting at the house now. But that leads me to believe that one of the people they had in, either high school recruit or a transfer over the weekend, came up and all he wanted to talk about was how much money can you offer me? And like you said, that's not like if that's the kind of guy you want in your locker room, here's my suggestion. Go to Wake Forest. That's my suggestion.
Preach. That is 1,000% the reason that player went to that school.
Yep.
It wasn't because I guarantee you Tony was telling him, "Hey, you're going to be a starter next year," because he would have 1,000% have been a starter. Am I right? Or I mean, as of how it went today, like right now, like obviously Xander, you are the Sunday starter now, but I'm saying if he was here, and for those that aren't catching on, we're talking about Chase Burns. Chase Burns would have been for sure Friday, probably the Friday starter, being that AJ Russell got hurt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I love that quote by Tony, though. The fact of just talking about, don't come here for the money. That's not who I want. And I mean, he's got the number 1 and number 2 ranked classes the next 2 years. That should say something. Like, they're going to be loaded. And you have really talented guys that aren't even on an active roster hitting the portal because they got no spots. They got no spots, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people will look at that and say, well, I guess Tennessee's not using NIL, which is not true. I think Tony was just saying, like, if that's your number 1 priority, just don't even bother. He said, I think the exact quote was, don't waste your time. No, don't waste our time and don't waste your time. And obviously people on the team are making good NIL money, but you have to come in and prove you're an important part of the team first. I mean, every time Christian Moore does something, Weigels is tweeting about it. Last year, Maui Ahuna with Weigels. So money is to be made if you're bought into the culture and a good player. But if that's your number 1 priority, just get bent. Do not even come here. And I think you said Chase Burns would have been a starter. that's all good and well. But again, Wake Forest lost both of their games in the postseason and went home. So who ended up better? Like the culture is the most important thing.
Yeah, and that's what I got from it. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, what a speech. After a game like that, to get re-pumped up is hard to do. But it was 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just like, yo, can we, like, are we going to war? Because I'll suit up.
I might just put it on the end of this podcast for people who haven't heard it because it is worth listening to. 6.5 minutes of just pure gold.
Yeah, and he even shouted out an Evansville guy. Talk about Rumsey.
Ty Rumsey, yeah.
Yeah, he got smacked in the face in game one off of a almost incredible catch. And yeah, I mean, dude comes out, he plays the third game, and just incredible. And he doesn't have to shout out another player from a different team. He doesn't have to, but he does. It's the type of guy he is. And honestly, the way Tony's going, boy, oh boy, Lindsey Nelson might be renamed at one point, and a statue might be in front.
I hope so.
Especially if he could pull off a national championship.
I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, if I'm going to safely say in the next 3 years, Tennessee will be hanging a banner. There will be a wall in the outfield dedicated to a national championship. Like it's you don't be this consistently good and not knock down the door eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
But you want to hop in. You want to preview this first game in Omaha, which is by far the most important because Tennessee has yet to win the first game in Omaha under Tony Vitello against the Florida State Seminoles.
Great baseball team that we're going to be playing. They are no joke. They got two guys that are future major leaguers. Even their ace for Jamie Arnold, another potential major leaguer eventually. Guy's 11-3, 2.70 ERA out of 18 appearances, 100 innings pitched. He's only given up 82 hits, 155 strikeouts. The guy's he could shove.
155 strikeouts to I think it's 20 something walks. 8. No. Hold on. Sorry.
22 walks.
22 walks to 150 strikeouts.
That's a stud. That is a stud. He is going to make you hit the ball.
Yes, absolutely. And talking about.
But our team could definitely hit. So I'm not saying anything about it. I mean, this guy, he's playing in the ACC. I don't know how many SEC teams did they even play this year? They played Florida once. They played Clemson, which is a good team. They played Florida twice. And Florida's not the huge. So they played Florida 3 times. And other than that, I think that might be it.
Yeah. But
that's the only SEC team they play. So
I mean, if you're talking about, SEC is obviously the best conference for baseball, but ACC is
it's up there.
It's second. I mean, it's at least this year. I mean, you look at where things lie now, waiting on
Texas and Oklahoma. Big 12 is going to be done.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it now, 4 SEC teams have already punched their ticket to Omaha, and the other 3 that have punched are ACC teams in North Carolina, Florida State, and who the hell else? Virginia. And we're just waiting on Georgia and North Carolina State. So it's going to be a ACC and SEC in Omaha, whether it be 5 SEC and 3 ACC or 4 for each. But like you said, Tennessee can hit this guy. They've hit most pitchers. They've on nearly all the pitchers they've played against this year. And to me, I mentioned it either last episode or the previous one. Tennessee struggles more with the bullshit.
The bad pitchers. Yeah.
The bullshit that Evansville was doing where they don't attack the strike zone. If you're not landing your breaking pitches against Tennessee and you're forced to throw a fastball in a hitter's count, just go ahead and
he's a lefty, by the way.
yeah. I mean, if you're forced to throw a fastball in a hitter's count against Tennessee because you don't want to walk one of our batters, just kiss your ass goodbye. Like they will hit it. And whatever you want to say about Omaha, if it's not going to be a home run, it's going to be a double or a triple. Go ahead.
No, I was just bringing up more of Jamie Arnold just to give people some insight. Last year, he was a complete different pitcher. Out of 24 appearances, he was 2-5 with a 6.3 ERA. He had 8 game starts. Obviously, this is a freshman year, but had 49 strikeouts to 27 walks. Still pretty decent, but he's turned around this year. I'm trying to find what kind of stuff he throws because that's also a big difference when it comes to our hitting, type guys. Because Tiers has been struggling. Dryling had a rough night last night, but this is prime time too. I don't know if you've seen the tweet, but this will be at 7:00 Eastern. This is going to be one for the ages, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's the slot you expect out of the number 1 seed. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, like I said, the first game is the most important. Like, if you don't win the first game in Omaha, it's a tough road. I know LSU did it last year. They didn't lose the first game because we were their first game, but they lost the second game, so they went to the losers bracket and still got out of it, beating Wake Forest twice in 2 days. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. Like, if you lose, it's going to be tough. I mean, but it's also going to be tough against the Seminoles. I mean, once you get to this point, there's no bad teams left. I mean, all these teams are outstanding. I mean, if we do beat Florida State, we're facing Virginia or North Carolina. North Carolina, top 20 pitching, top 50 hitting. Virginia is one of the best offenses in the country. Like, Virginia has the most runs and hits, I think, on the year out of any team to this point. And, I mean, like I said, there's no bad teams now, man. But before we think about them, we got to think about the Seminoles. And I want to talk about these 2 hitters. They're the ones that you alluded to, man, because they are outstanding. And they're both projected top 20 in this year's MLB draft, and Cam Smith and Tibbs. I mean, Tibbs has 94 RBIs. I'm just going to toss it to you there because that's insane.
Yeah. You did bring it up earlier, though. I mean, he's the Christian Moore of their team. If Christian Moore was batting third.
Yes.
He has 94 RBIs, 28 home runs, batting .374. The dude doesn't strike out much, only has 31 strikeouts. His on-base percentage is almost 500. And he's only been caught stealing once. He's only stole the bag 7 times, but, I mean, he's 7 for 8. So this guy's pretty elite, very elite. But Cam Smith ain't no joke either. 56 RBIs, 16 home runs. He's more of a guy that's going to hit it in the gap, get a double here and there. Slugging percentage is also .677. This guy, again, another guy stud, another on-base percentage of 500. I mean, they're really good. So our pitching's going to have to be top tier to, get this game in the direction we want it to go. Now, their whole lineup's good. Now, I'm not going to go through their whole lineup, but their whole lineup, I think I said 7 guys in the 300s, and the other 2 are not far from 300. I mean, they got a solid 1 through 9, just like us. But they're going to have to, it's going to be a different look. I don't think they've seen a guy like AJ Causey. So we're going to need AJ Causey to step up and, do his thing. But who knows? Maybe Tony Vitello says, hey, I'm using Drew this game. Because, I mean, in my opinion, I think if Tennessee could win this game, it sets them up. Because, like you said, out of the 3 teams that we could run into, I think Florida State's the worst one, like the best one that we're gonna play.
Yeah, on our side of the bracket for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah, they're easily the most talented on our side of the bracket. And I don't know if Tony will make a drastic decision like that. I think you would, if it were me, unless he just really is confident in his decision, I would go with what got you there. And I would put Beam on the game that you're either trying to get up 2-0 and put yourself in the catbird seat or fighting for your life in game 2. Because I think he's due for a good start. I think that's all there is to it. And Sechrist in game 3, I don't think there's going to be a better game 3 pitcher for anybody in Omaha if Tennessee gets to a game 3.
Yeah, I agree. The way he's been pitching, he's been lights out. So I definitely don't disagree with that. But yeah, it's going to be game 1's going to be an interesting one. Florida State is no joke. But like I said, if Tennessee could keep the momentum that they just created from yesterday, they're gonna give Florida State a run for their money.
Absolutely. Let's see. Do you want to go ahead and pick some MVPs if Tennessee goes ahead and advances to the final series?
Like, who am I gonna pick to have a good Omaha trip?
Yeah.
We'll do pitching wise, pitching wise and hitting wise.
Yes.
Now, I'm gonna name a few that I think need to have good trips. Obviously, Christian Moore. And obviously we're gonna need Christian Moore, Blake Burke, and Billy Yamick to do their thing. We're gonna need that, but three guys that really stand out for me hitting wise needs to be Hunter Ensley, Dylan Dreiling, and Dean Curley. Because when Dean Curley's hitting the ball well, this lineup's so dangerous. Because I know Tiers is going to do his thing, but when Dean Curley's hitting the ball, you got 1 through 7 of problems. And if Dalton Bargo keeps his little thing going, oh boy. But and he's Mr. Omaha being from there. So
yep.
But yeah, that's my take. But what about you?
Well, considering, I mean, you just mentioned him. Tiers did not have the greatest weekend. I think everybody saw that. I don't think he was seeing the ball too well against the lower velocity pitchers, and he was trying to do a little bit too much. So I expect Tiers to have a nice bounce back. I mean, you get to Omaha, it's a bigger ballpark. It's a talking point every year. And Tiers has a knack for finding gaps and hitting it down the line when he isn't jerking one out of the ballpark. So I expect Tiers to have a really good trip to Omaha, hitting-wise. And then pitching, I think the guy, I've already said it. I mean, Drew Beam, I think he's due for a good start. I just think this is Drew Beam's final ride potentially too. And I think he's going to leave it all out on the field, man. And
he's got the stuff.
And he was rolling through those first 3 innings. And
errors.
Yeah, I mean, if as long as the defense plays good behind him, because me and you talk about all the time, he's a contact pitcher. If the defense makes plays behind him, I think he has the potential to go 7 innings, 2 runs or less. So that's my pick for pitching.
I'm the same on pitching. I think, and that's why I say I'm at least thinking about it. If I'm Tony V, about having Drew lead the way, because he is your guy, he is your leader, he is your most trusted pitcher. He's been, he's had a couple slacks of games here lately, the ones we're not used to seeing from him. So, I mean, like you said, leave it all out there. But there's one thing about, now that I'm thinking about it, is if you go Beam and he doesn't have that start that you're thinking about, it's, who do you go to? Yeah. You're going to have to switch from the Saturday guys to Friday and Friday guys to Saturday. So, but I wouldn't be disappointed in that, because AJ Causey has been the best there is, like you said. So, but yeah, Drew Beam, though, is the pitching guru that we need, especially against a team like Florida State. I mean, these guys could hit. So, and Drew's been there before. A lot of experience in Omaha. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, though. I very much agree with Drew Beam.
Yeah. I mean, last year, Drew Beam with his back against the wall, starting the rubber match in the Super Regional down in Hattiesburg against Southern Miss. He went 6 innings, 2 runs. I mean, it might have been just 1 run even, or 0 runs. I think we shut them out that game. But the point is, he had a great start with his back against the wall. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was pitching when we won. No, he wasn't. Never mind. But Drew Beam, like you said, has been to Omaha before. He knows how it plays there, and I expect him to have a good start.
Yeah, and take this with a grain of salt about Drew starting Friday. It's probably not going to happen. I'm just saying, being the way, if you're wanting, because here's my thing: is you want to set the tone on Friday. Like, if you go beat a Florida State team with their ace on the mound, I mean, that's huge. So I'd want a guy that I trust on the mound.
Yeah, and like you said, if Tony does decide to do that and things don't go well, every game in Omaha, I think, is a must win. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in the winners or losers bracket. I think you put everything and worry about the next game during the next game. That's just my take, because we haven't won the first game yet, most importantly, in Omaha under Tony Vitello. And how about we try that this year and see if that bodes well? Like, just put everything on the line on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm just saying that leads with Drew Beam. He's been your Saturday guy all year. Maybe switch it up, and that shows a vote of confidence to him, saying, "Hey, you're our guy. Let's go set the tone, win this game, and let's go."
Couldn't agree more. Now, the last thing, unless you got anything else, Jim, let's just keep it at this for now, because we'll have a chance to record another episode if we do make it to the final series. Does Tennessee make it to the final series?
Now, I'm trying to think of how the bracket works. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So you got the two sides. If Tennessee let's just say all the good goes well, Tennessee wins both games this week, or first 2 games. So is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or is it 2 weekends?
So the first round is basically another regional. So you would need to win 3 games. If you're in the winner's bracket, you need to win 4 if you're in the loser's bracket. So if Tennessee goes 3-0, they're in the final series.
Do they get to the final series? I think. And now, to get to the final series, do we play the other side of the bracket, or is that after that? That's going to be final series.
Yes, the final series will be the winner of our side versus the winner of the other side.
I think Tennessee pulls it off. I think if Tennessee could win Friday, for sure going to pull it off.
I agree.
I think Friday, like you said, is you got to lay it out all on the table and go get that game.
Yeah. I think Tennessee makes it to the final series. I really respect our side of the bracket, and just so happens we're playing, in my opinion, the best team on this side of the bracket first. And if we get through that, I think it's going to be pretty hard to stop Tennessee from getting to the final series. So that's my.
Now, who do you think is going to be the winner of the other series, the other side? Because I have an interesting take.
Florida.
God dang it! You took my thunder, dude. I was like, I just don't know. With Texas A&M losing Montgomery, I just don't know. Florida's been playing really good. They played the toughest schedule in the country this year, so they've they played the best of the best, and Florida's Florida. They're always a good baseball team, but I think Florida's got that side locked if they could beat A&M. The same thing. I just don't think the NC State Georgia game right now is 4-2 NC State. I don't think either one of these teams beats Kentucky, but
Nope.
I think A&M and Florida are going to give Kentucky a run for their money.
Yeah, like you said, I think Florida has finally figured their team out. I think Kevin O'Sullivan, their coach, has found the key to that team, and they're playing their best baseball of the year at the right time. And I think Florida's going to match up with Tennessee in the final series.
Oh, God, dude, that'd be spicy. Oh, that'd be so spicy.
It would be one for the ages. So anything else?
Oh, man, dude. That would just hurt. That would just hurt. Like I think we could. Well, obviously, we beat them in a series this year, and that was on the road. So being at a neutral site in Omaha, Nebraska, I just think Tennessee has the upper hand.
Yeah.
That'd be spicy, bro.
Just saying that out loud,
it hurts. It hurts.
It would be very stressful.
But it's the real thing though. It's like I just don't. I know A&M's been firing on all cylinders, but they should have lost that other game to Oregon.
Yeah,
and Florida just beat a really good Clemson team, so it's just on the road no less. So it wasn't even their regional. So I just think Florida's another one. Florida's the team on the other side of the bracket that's playing with house money because no one expects Florida to win.
Yep, you're right.
So that's just my opinion. But I think the way our side of the bracket, and I'm gonna finish with this. I think it's gonna go. I think we take game one. I think North Carolina is gonna win their game. I think we beat North Carolina to verse Florida State again. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's how I think it will go too.
And then, so if we get to game 3, they have to beat us twice, right?
If we're 2-0, yes.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, that was a good way to end the episode then, because that pretty much is it for me. I'm like hyped up for Friday. I mean, we're on prime time against a really good baseball team, really good pitcher. The Vols, it's in it, like Tony said, you're playing with house money. No one expects us to win, so go get it. Go get Friday, because you set the tone Friday. Like you said, I think Tennessee's in the final series.
Absolutely.
So we'll end it with our normal.
Go Vols, baby.
Go Vols.
And then, speaking of their program, Coach Carroll has stayed in an awful lot of hotels as a recruiting guy. And I have too. So you guys made the mistake of giving me the mic. So I'll add to my opening statement, really picking up where we left off yesterday, where somebody asked me a question that bothered one of my players. So I'll have his back. But again, if you got to cut me off, cut me off. But I've stayed in an awful lot of hotels to be in this position alone and running around and watching games. And we've done it, I think, from the ground up here. And while I'm at it, anybody that's thinking about visiting our place that we're recruiting and you think this is a place you can come and have your hand out and see how much money we can give you, don't waste our time and don't waste your time either. But the question was posed basically about our season, and if we lose tonight, it's all for naught. And Blake Burke wasn't too happy about it. Blake Burke's got a lot invested in this particular program. If I was Blake, back in that day, I was a little too wild. I would have said, B, you wasn't with me shooting in a gym or something similar to that. But he kept his composure. Clearly, you've seen me in action. I don't have great composure. So I'll speak on it for a sec because it started out as we were number one for most of the season. That's an incorrect statement. It's not a fact. I don't know who was number one preseason because I don't look at it. It's a very difficult sport to predict what's going to happen. Nobody predicted Evansville to be here, but they were. And then also we were not number one majority of the season. As a matter of fact, when we first took over, I was astonished. Kentucky was winning our league, which you guys write up. It's one of the most, if not the most competitive league. And they were number one in the division, but somehow we were number one on writers' polls. So, but we weren't for most of the season. We had to work to get to that point, no question. But then again, the word success to me is very important in this room. We make these guys write down what success is for them and teach them that they need to define what a successful at-bat is or what a successful outing is, whatever it is. Noah, it's Noah Webster's dictionary. It says success is a degree or measure of achievement, or if you read it in another deal online, degree or measure of succeeding. So those two words right there, and I definitely ain't the smartest fella, degree and measure means you get a pick. You get to pick what success is, which is pretty awesome. So Noah probably doesn't know how to define it with these guys where you got to sweat, you got to be in the weight room together, you got to trust the guy. If you give up a ground ball, can make the play for you, or if you give up a run, the other guy will go to work for you. He wasn't that, but he was a thinker. And the big thing Noah was, he loved his country, big-time patriot, which is kind of a lost art around here. So I don't know the guy, but I got a lot of respect for him, and I like the way he wrote that whole deal up as far as degree or measure. For me, I get a pick. I was around my dad a lot. He can't tell me what to do. I don't consider myself, I work for people here, but I'm my own boss when I come here. And for me, success is part group. When our group has success, I consider myself a teammate to these guys. It means I had a level of success. But then there's also the part where I got a job to do and I got to make decisions. And if you were to put all my decisions in a bucket for the weekend, I had more wrong decisions than correct decisions. For instance, Dalton Bargo probably should have pinch hit yesterday. He showed me that with some attitude and some success today, and I'm not so sure he doesn't do it yesterday too if we pinch hit him against Harris because he wants to go home, and he's going home. But you know what, Bargs? Success for me is being a good teammate, and Cal Stark is my guy. That's my guy for a lot of reasons, no doubt. So success for me is what I get to judge. If you're talking about success for this team, the one thing I stated after last season, because I'm in a bathroom crying with just a lot of emotions after we're able to beat Clemson last year, was to show up at work every day and get out of my car excited and to have fun and to be around people that want to be here and be in an environment that you're excited to get to every day. 100% success. Omaha is real fun to go to. If you don't play that well, it ain't that fun. But I don't really give a damn, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, we kind of can pick up where Evansville left off. We're not supposed to win because the number one never wins. So house money. So I'm going to consider this even more of a success this year, but definitely because of that group in particular being the way they are. And then I think 2022 was brought up. We could have won 30 games in 2022. Jared Dickey, who had a phenomenal post on social media today, transformed his entire body after quitting baseball as a part of one of the best teams and was a success as an individual, among many other great things that happened about it. Hey, you didn't like the team, so what? They got you talking about college baseball. I can tell you that. To me, that team was a success. And the one thing I definitely want to say about Evansville, Mr. Rumsey, Ty, I believe. I apologize if I got your first name wrong. Last out of the game. Not rubbing it in, not pointing fingers. All right? Be told you never got to play in Omaha. You know what? Rumsey can get on a plane and go to Omaha anytime he wants. All right? That's easy to do. You know what's not easy to do? To run face first into a wall, full blast, get stitches, injure your shoulder, and then on top of that, to play in today's game. I've seen that guy. That guy made me nervous. I've seen a bunch of catches that guy made when we watched video. He made me nervous. So Omaha or not, who gives a damn? That guy is an absolute success. And when he's older, he'll be able to look everybody in the eye and say, when I played, I don't know what the hell his batting average is, I was a warrior, period, and a part of one of the best Evansville teams ever. And no one will ever be able to take that away from him. And every time he sees one of his teammates or goes back to that facility at Evansville, they'll say, hell yeah, there's that guy right there. So for me, it's a tangent, but that's what success is defined by me. I get to do it the way I want to do it. You guys get to do it the way that you want to do it. So at the end of the day, success for me is Omaha will be where Father's Day is for me. But you know what? If you're choosing, if you got a father figure in your life and they've done something to contribute for you, doesn't even have to be your dad, could be a coach maybe for you guys. You should appreciate them, and you're going to have a successful day too, no matter where you are. If it's not in Omaha, I would recommend Cabo, Ibiza, or Tulum. I'll be there at some point.